What if I told you that some of the most intelligent people you know are also the ones who spend the most time alone? It sounds strange, doesn't it? You'd think that being smart would mean having more friends, better conversations, and deeper connections. But the truth is often the opposite. Many highly intelligent people quietly live with a deep sense of loneliness. Why does this happen? And more importantly, what does it teach us about the human mind? Imagine this. You're sitting in a room full of people, everyone laughing at a joke, and yet you don't find it funny. Not because you don't understand it, but because your mind works differently. You see the layers, the irony, the flaws. Instead of laughing, you're analyzing. And in that moment, you feel the quiet sting of being an outsider. This is the silent struggle many smart people face every day. Understanding too much, but connecting too little. The psychology of this loneliness is both fascinating and heartbreaking. And once you see it clearly, you might start noticing it not just in others, but maybe even in yourself. Here's the first reason: intelligent minds crave depth. Most social interactions revolve around the surface. Small talk about the weather, the latest sports match, or the newest TV show. But intelligent people are often more interested in asking questions like, what makes life meaningful? Why do we chase things we don't need? How do our choices shape our future? These questions don't always fit into casual conversation. So while others bond over light chatter, smart people can feel like they're speaking a different language. They long for depth but often drown in the shallow end. Think about it. Have you ever been in a conversation where everyone's excited about gossip or trends, but your mind is screaming, is this really what matters? That's the quiet gap between intelligence and belonging. And when that gap isn't bridged, it turns into isolation. But here's a twist. Loneliness doesn't always come from a lack of company. Sometimes it comes from a lack of resonance. You can be surrounded by people and still feel utterly alone if your soul isn't being understood. Smart people don't just want company, they want connection. And when that's missing, isolation creeps in. The second reason, awareness. With intelligence often comes a sharper awareness of life, the fragility of time, the complexity of relationships, the illusions we cling to. And this awareness can be heavy. While others are content to live on autopilot, smart people notice the cracks. They see through false smiles, shallow compliments, or meaningless routines. And this awareness can make it hard to relax in social settings. It's difficult to enjoy the play when you can see the strings pulling the puppets. There's a famous quote that says, "The more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know." For intelligent people, this awareness isn't just humbling, it can also be isolating. Because while everyone else is celebrating certainty, they are wrestling with questions. And questions can feel very lonely. Now here's where it gets more complicated. Intelligent people often build their own worlds. They dive into books, projects, and passions that absorb them completely. While this brings fulfillment, it also creates distance. Picture someone who spends hours researching, writing, or building, not because they're antisocial, but because their curiosity pulls them deeper than most are willing to go. The more time they invest in their inner world, the harder it becomes to reconnect with the outer one. And this brings us to something most people don't notice. Smart people often choose solitude, but they don't always choose loneliness. Solitude can be empowering. It's where ideas are born, where creativity thrives, where reflection sharpens. But when solitude stretches too far, when days of being alone turn into weeks of being unseen, it transforms into isolation. And that shift is subtle but dangerous. Let me pause here and ask you, have you ever had a moment where you wanted to be alone, but after a while, you realized you actually needed someone to notice you? That's the paradox of intelligence. Craving independence, yet quietly aching for connection. Here's another surprising factor: different values. Many smart people don't value the same things the majority does. They may not care about chasing trends, showing off status, or being part of every party. Instead, they seek purpose, growth, and meaning. While these values enrich their inner world, they can make it harder to fit into the outer one. Imagine a party where everyone's comparing cars, clothes, or careers. The intelligent person might be thinking, does any of this actually matter? That silent disagreement creates invisible walls. And those walls can be exhausting. Smart people often feel the need to dim down their thoughts just to be accepted. They hide their depth, simplify their words, laugh when they don't want to, all to avoid standing out too much. But pretending to fit in is a lonely game, because you're surrounded by people but not truly seen by any of them. Now, let's get to the hidden twist, the paradox that surprises most people. Loneliness isn't just a side effect of intelligence. Sometimes it's the very fuel that makes intelligence grow. Think about it. When you're lonely, you turn inward. You reflect more, you observe more, you question more. Many great ideas, inventions, and works of art were born in solitude. The loneliness that isolates also creates space for brilliance. In a strange way, loneliness is both the wound and the gift of intelligence. But here's the danger. When loneliness isn't managed, it can lead to sadness, anxiety, and even despair. The same mind that can imagine brilliant solutions can also overthink itself into darkness. That's why smart people must learn to balance their inner world with the outer one. Because intelligence without connection isn't wisdom, it's just isolation with sharper edges. So how can smart people navigate this paradox? First, by finding their tribe. Not everyone will understand you, but someone will. It may take time, but there are people who crave depth, who ask big questions, who long for the same kind of connection you do. And when you find them, the loneliness begins to ease. Second, by allowing simple joys. Not every moment needs to be profound. Sometimes laughter over something silly, or enjoying a simple conversation about nothing, is just as nourishing as deep philosophy. Balance doesn't mean dimming your light, it means letting it shine in different colors. Third, by embracing solitude without letting it consume you. Solitude can be a sanctuary, but make sure it doesn't become a prison. Use it for creativity, reflection, and rest, but step out when you feel the walls closing in. And maybe the most important lesson is this: being understood is rare, but being yourself is priceless. Intelligence can feel lonely, yes, but loneliness can also be the path to authenticity. When you accept that not everyone will understand you, you free yourself to connect with those who do. So the next time you feel the sting of loneliness, remember, it doesn't mean you're broken. It might just mean your mind is tuned to a different frequency. And sometimes, the right people will only find you once you stop changing your station. If this resonated with you, take a moment to reflect. When was the last time you felt truly understood? And who was the person that made you feel that way? Cherish them, because in a world full of noise, finding even one true connection is a kind of miracle. And if you've made it this far, you already know this truth: loneliness isn't the absence of people. It's the absence of connection. And while intelligence can make that connection harder to find, it also makes it far more meaningful when you do. In the next video, we'll explore another fascinating side of the mind: why our brains sometimes sabotage our own happiness, even when everything seems fine. If you found this eye-opening, subscribe for more calm, insightful tales of the mind.